So recently I flew over to the NSDA, or National Speech and Debate Association's biggest competition of the year, and I interviewed a lot of competitors of this tournament. This year I really wanted to make this documentary about something near and dear to me, mental health and the surrounding issues surrounding it, specifically like stigmatization and everything. Statistically, around 50% of adolescents my age or even younger have already dealt with some form of mental health issue, whether it be depression, anxiety, BPD, or any other form of mental health. I feel as if it's really important and essential to highlight these struggles individuals can face and how they should be normalized and socially acceptable. Nevertheless, moving on.
My name is Zara Mendoza. I am from South Florida.
Hey there, Mac Bromany, Manhattan High School.
I'm Kimberly Bayan Burlat. I am an assistant coach at Mesa High School in Arizona.
My name is Jordan. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee.
My name is Sanjeev Santosh. I'm about to be a senior this year, and I'm from Collierville near Memphis, Tennessee.
Hi, my name is Chris Bay. I'm a rising junior from Flint Ridge Preparatory School in California.
I'm Jack D'Angelo. I'm also from Flint Ridge Prep.
So my name is Abdel. I'm in 11th grade.
My name is Adelaide Barrett. I'm a graduated senior.
My name is Helen Fang.
My name is Jenny Fang.
My name is Nathan Han.
My name is Iris Wong. Right, so I'm senior zoo.
My name is Ariel.
My name is Andre.
When did you start competing in speech and debate?
In 6th grade. So I'm coming up on my 6th or 7th year of competing.
I think this will be the end of my second year. I started competing at the beginning of my sophomore year.
At the beginning of my sophomore year.
In my sophomore year, post-COVID.
4th grade.
When I was technically in 8th grade.
Elementary school, 3rd grade.
Elementary, middle school, like around 5th or 6th.
I think something important that we should highlight is just how much all of these people have been participating in speech and debate. They've been participating for a long time. Anyways, the next question is going to be, do you enjoy speech and debate?
I really like public speaking. I like the feeling of getting up in front of people and just being able to share my words and share my thoughts with them.
I do enjoy it because I feel like it's the closest you can get to an even playing field and also a judgment-free zone. I feel like speech and debate generates the kind of people who naturally want each other to succeed and express themselves.
I think I really do enjoy it. I think it's just it's an event that just I meet a lot of people who are very similar to me, and I like having that space where there's a bunch of people who I relate to or just enjoy talking to.
I have a love-hate relationship with speech and debate. I really enjoy competing. I'm glad to be at NATS. I'm really happy to be here, and I really do love the kind of community you get with speech and debate with your team and with other teams. It's very stressful and lots of early mornings, lots of time spent on debate that could be spent on other things. But ultimately, I still chose to do it because I think it was fun and it was really helpful for my critical thinking ability.
I enjoy it. I think my favorite part about it is really the team aspect of it. So even though you're doing your individual event, you have that opportunity to be with your team and go on these cool trips.
I actually really enjoy it, and mostly because I enjoy it because I sound professional too, and then it also helps with my public speaking, and I can add it to whenever, because I got in student council because by my speeches and what I learned in speech and debate. And also it's really fun making friends and also competing because you get free food.
So I would say I enjoy it. I think it's really nice to be able to speak and present information in your own voice and to pick pieces that you enjoy and want to tell to others.
Okay, something just of note that I wanted to say right here is that just how dedicated a lot of these people are to their craft. Because come on, they're all putting in the hours, the work, the time and effort it needs to just, be there and everything. Even if they might not completely like it and everything, they're still participating. All right, what's the greatest pressure you face in speech and debate?
Having to prepare for tournaments.
Feeling like I could have done better.
Getting up there and being vulnerable, especially with an inter event, because you have to put everything out there. You have to put all of your emotion. And that can be hard, especially in front of strangers.
Going on in front of a lot of people.
Public speaking.
Being surrounded by so many talented people.
Peers pressure.
Judgment.
Fellow competitors, and it's kind of unsaid, but when you're in the round, you're thinking about, oh, is my piece like good enough compared to everyone else?
I think something of note I wanted to say here is just how many people have said peer pressure and just the feeling that they are incompetent in comparison to their teammates and their fellow peers, and like the unspoken just feeling that you get when you have to compare yourself to other people around you, and just the fact that you may feel as if you are lesser than the others, even if you not really are. Now, have you ever experienced any burnout during the season?
Yes, it was at the end of my sophomore year. I thought I was gonna quit speech and debate. I was so tired. I hated putting the work in. But then my partner reconvinced me to join again, my junior year, which is this year. And the more I do it, the more I like it.
I've definitely experienced it before, so I was pretty careful this season to avoid it. At certain points, I just had to step away. You could always be perfecting your case, or you could be practicing, or you could be rehearsing. So sometimes I just had to set strict time limits.
I think I really had burnout by the end of the first semester of competition. I was like, I am so done with having to wake up every morning on a Saturday and drive. Winter break was really my time to relax, and I feel like I took advantage of that time.
I experienced a lot of burnout with speech and debate, more so because of my other responsibilities. I was also a Model UN leader and a leader of some of our other clubs and in other clubs and in AP classes. So there was times where speech and debate just felt like this burden that I really had to work through to just even attend a tournament, which made it a little bit less fun.
Not personally, but I feel like juggling AP exams and all that kind of stuff is insane. So just finding that motivation in that time can be difficult, especially in the beginning or when I was doing an event that I wasn't obsessed with. It's I feel like the key is finding what you love in speech and debate, because if you're not doing it because it's fun or because you love it, then what's the point?
Yeah, I would say so, because especially this season, I was switching a lot of pieces around, so I was just oh, what am I doing this for, But then at the end, when you find that piece, or just when you get up there and you get to say your piece, you really understand and appreciate why it exists.
It's just very easy to get unmotivated, because it really is, you have to put in the work. There's only so much that your parents can push you to do, or your judges can push you to do. I think it's a sport in which you have to find it in yourself. I think the main thing is you have to find the sweet spot. You have to be able to enjoy it for yourself, right? It can't be oh, I'm proving something to my parents, or I'm proving something to my peers. It has to be, I'm proving something to myself. And I want to improve myself. I feel rewarded by performing this piece, and I want to improve.
Yeah, definitely. I think my first time experiencing burnout was middle school. That year, I think 8th grade, because I was doing impromptu really competitively. And then once I started winning a lot in it, I think that's when the pressure came in. It was less I was having fun, and more now it's I have to win because people expect me to. That's why I took a break from it in high school. But this year, I came back to it mostly because I had to as a supplemental. But I think I had a much more healthy mentality this year, and that's why I was less burnt out when it came to impromptu.
I think burnout for me is, I really understand this for a lot of these people. I've definitely experienced a lot of this. I have personally experienced just how fast and how quick it is to get burned out from a competition, to feel like you don't want to do this anymore, and just not have fun with your pieces, with whatever you're doing, and all that kind of jazz and stuff. A lot of these people talk about how burnout has impacted them and have changed how they approach speech and debate, which is really good and honestly really great. I definitely need to take some notes from these people. Do you believe that there are still stigmas surrounding mental health?
Mental health is such a big problem that many people are still not understanding the whole thing yet. So even in I think in schools it's kind of getting a little bit more accepted, but if you go outside of school and other families or just the community in general, some people accept it, some people don't.
I think that there's a lot of stigma around psychotic problems, psychosis. I feel like a lot of times now, you know, if you say that you have anxiety or depression, people will understand like what that means. But if you say like you're psychotic, then people are gonna think that you're like a crazy person. And with other symptoms of like anxiety and depression that aren't so pretty, you know, like a lack of hygiene or maybe like snapping, like irritability and stuff like that, people just want to see like you more as a victim or like as like a helpless person than someone with real problems.
Even though obviously the world is a lot more open, there's just like there's so many aspects to like the mental well-being of a person, and sometimes not all of those aspects are addressed. Like for a lot of people, they only get the recognition they need for their mental struggles when those mental struggles are diagnosed. So like for me, for example, I am like 100% sure I struggle with like problems with anxiety and depression, but neither of those are clinically diagnosed. But it also doesn't feel like it is taken as seriously as like something that's diagnosed. And then I also think that like certain identity markers make it harder for people to talk about mental health. And then I'm also LGBTQ, and then I feel like that also feels like a lot of the time negates a lot of the struggles that I have, and just like a bunch of identity markers that like make it so that people care less about the mental health of certain individuals.
I think people are getting more open about it, talking more about mental health as like a genuine concern and not something like written off as like stigmatized. But I think there's still like kind of this culture of like oh, you're weird for that, like just suck it up, like why are you sharing that with me? So I think there's a little bit more openness needed.
It's something that we all know about and we all know that it's kind of there, but it's not something that we really talk about and really share. I think it's something that we still probably need to be more open about in future conversation.
I think the answer that stood out to me the most would definitely be the answer about how psychosis and all those other forms of mental health issues that isn't like just, you know, anxiety, depression, all that kind of stuff is just honestly still stigmatized. Even though people know of it, they feel as if you are different from everyone else. What specific mental health struggles do you potentially face as a competitor?
Stress,
imposter syndrome,
performance anxiety. As I get into round or like right before round, I'm always super stressed about how I'm gonna do that round. It's to the point sometimes where like I can't sleep before, so I just get more prep in. And I'd say that I definitely like can't eat before because I'm always like nervous. I'd say that like, you know, you get up there and like your hands are gonna shake. Part of congressional debate is with every other event, I feel like, you know, there's maybe 5 people watching you and a judge. But in congressional debate, it's like 20 people. And if you make a mistake, that's great for all of them. So I really have to I feel like I have a lot of pressure on me in that moment, which causes a lot of anxiety.
Not so much on the like going up there and like giving your speech part, but like connecting with other people and, like apart from my team. So a lot of times I would have a lot of team members who were going out and having really great connections with people on other teams, people in their events, and I like really struggled with making those connections, which sometimes felt like not ostracizing, but I can't really think of a better word for it. So kind of ostracized from the larger community.
I'll give an example. At the national qualifier event for me, I dropped my binder in the middle of my speech, and like it was so, oh my gosh, because like I immediately thought I got disqualified, and that just like it's so competitive. Like this it's like the biggest national education competition, and that pressure like can like hurt you.
There's a lot of feelings of like you're not good enough. Like no matter how well you've done in the past, whenever you see how other people win, you also only see their wins, you don't see what goes on behind the scenes. So there definitely is a lot of comparison and sometimes a lot of self-doubt.
I think it's just because it is a competition, like I said, so we're all trying to one-up other people, right? So I think just having that am I good enough, or like does winning really does not winning or winning make you as a competitor, or is it about like getting back up and staying resilient?
I get like unmotivated to do it, and I guess that would be like burnout. But like yeah, it's just it's a struggle to have to see, like, again, that comparison culture because of the competition, and also getting all these judges' notes. It's very easy to get super overwhelmed, to be like, oh, I can't do it, I'm not good enough.
While the question in general is really broad, I think it's really important to highlight just how every single person here highlighted how peer pressure and the feeling of inadequacy in comparison to other people, or the feeling of being compared to other people, were some of the biggest struggles they faced as a competitor, and how the comparison culture specifically is just something that they have experienced so much. Anyhow, the next section is going to be about advice from all these competitors.
Don't stress yourself out so much.
Just time management.
Do what you love. Don't do it because someone else is expecting you to do it.
It's just to have fun.
Not get put down by like feedback.
Don't undervalue the work and effort you've put in.
Every opportunity is a learning opportunity.
You should view speech and debate as an outlet for what you value rather than as the thing that brings you value in your life.
No matter how much you practice and like how much hard work you put into it, at the end, it's not about if you win or not. It's about what do you feel out of it? Do you feel accomplished? Do you feel proud of yourself? And how well have you been taking care of yourself is one thing.
And I'm sure like people hear that a lot, but like really time management is really important. Being able to not only set time for yourself to actually get the stuff done, but also to be able to be like, oh, I'm burning out, or like, oh, I'm really struggling right now. I need to take time for myself. That's all very important.
Just staying focused and not letting, doubtful thoughts get to you, and knowing what's important, which is, learning new skills, making new friends, being a part of the community.
So like even if you lose rounds, you're still getting something out of it. And like even though I didn't get to compete in public forum at this tournament, the national tournament, I competed in World Schools debate, and I'm still learning stuff. Even though I didn't break, I'm still learning stuff that I can still apply when I go back into the season when it starts again.
You should be making sure you value yourself and your life more than, don't let speech and debate consume your life. I feel like I've done myself pretty well with separating my value, like my personal value of myself, from how I do in speech and debate. Join other clubs, meet people who are in other clubs, expand your friend group and expand the people you know and you meet. Because if you're in other clubs, if you're in other events and competitions, then you're gonna realize not everything about my life is speech and debate.
I think a sentiment that I've picked up from all of these people is just how you should join speech and debate because you enjoy it, not necessarily as a way of having another thing that you can just write down a checklist of the things that will make you look like a really good person. I think this really should encapsulate just any other extracurricular. You shouldn't join a music program because you want to use it later in life. Rather, you should join it because it's something you enjoy doing. For example, I have a lot of friends that are in marching band, but none of them want to really pursue a career in music. Rather, they want to be a marine biologist. They want to do something with economy, something with programming, or any other form of science. Not a lot of these people really want to do anything with band necessarily, but more of just, I like band, I like music, and I like having fun with friends. Oh my god, one thing I forgot. The next section is going to be about healthy expectations we should have for fellow competitors, and just,
The nature of speech and debate is to compete, so I think just believe in yourself more. You can't really control what other competitors say and do, so it's really a lot about self-reflection and like staying confident in yourself.
I'd say that a lot of times we don't give a lot of like empathy to like bad debaters or something like that. And I think that it's really important to like remember that not everyone has the same like resources or the same like opportunities. So I'd say that definitely, instead of like basing your value as a debater on like, oh, I'm so much better than this person, it's a lot more respectful to other people to kind of, I've succeeded at this tournament, and to focus on your experiences rather than other people's mistakes or other people's failures. And especially to always say, stay respectful, like during a round and after the round. You can do all your like mean cross and like your mean questioning, but then afterwards to always like smile when you shake their hand and just make sure that they know that they're valued as a competitor and as a person.
Probably would be to not to expect like everything, but at the same time, you want to have that sort of confidence in yourself. So just like knowing how you are, where you are in the season is like something important. So so knowing where you are in the season is really important, especially if in the beginning you've got a lot of work to do, and so just keep going at it and it'll be fun.
Don't think about winning as much as you're thinking about doing your best and showing up every single time, and not comparing yourself to others, but comparing you to you last round.
We're all just out here to have fun. We're all being supportive of each other, and we're all just, trying to uplift and create like a community that is like building something of value. Yeah.
Encourage the teammates to bond more and to come talk to each other more, so then they have like this reassurance that they won't get judged by their peers.
Well, hydrate a lot. That's really important. Eat food, get really good sleep. Because these past days, I've been getting like 4 hours of sleep.
You shouldn't place high expectations on people that you know aren't going to be, like, that you know can't always be met. Because if you're thinking about yourself, you wouldn't always tell yourself that you have to do everything perfectly. Because if you do, then you'll disappoint, you'll disappoint the very sense of your identity. Because I think we should recognize that everybody's gonna have struggles. Like, life is not easy, and when you stop thinking about life as everybody is doing speech and debate because they're good at speech and debate and not just because they might enjoy it, or it's an activity that they do, that's when you start to realize that everybody's just competing to compete. It's not like we're here to define our entire self.
I think, if anything, you should take from this documentary is just how much students deal with burnout, with mental health issues, and how aware people are of mental health in general. Some people may not be aware of it at all. Some people may not be knowingly participating in the stigmatization of mental health issues, illnesses, awareness, all that stuff. Even though mental health is honestly a really, really big point that people like to bring up in speech and debate, and is something that quite honestly a lot of people use as a point in their impromptu or any other speech, it's just something that hasn't really been pushed for change in the speech and debate community, which is definitely why I wanted to push this documentary forward. As someone that's definitely been in the sphere for quite a while, a lot of people are just dealing with a lot of burnout and feeling really bad about themselves because of the pressure they place on themselves because of other people. And I really just hope that through this, it will definitely bring awareness of these prominent issues, and just make sure that people just know how to take care of themselves better, because that's really important. Now you might be wondering, why is this film 15 minutes longer? Why is there so many people at the beginning that I haven't seen before? Well, that's because at Desmont's this year at the NSDA, I didn't just interview the students, I interviewed a lot of the coaches, the judges, and the teachers who are in charge of a lot of these students, and just asked them questions about how they would be aware, or how they can impact their students' mental health, and how aware I guess they are of them and their influences. Anyways, on to the first question. How do you think participating in speech and debate may impact students' mental health?
I think positively, in that case, it would be such a confidence booster. I know that for me, I really didn't find out who I was as a person until I joined speech and debate. And I see it consistently in a lot of my students, where they come in and they're unsure about who they are. And then we teach them, how do you find your voice? What is it you want to do? And we can see that kind of positive impact. I do know that as a competitor, there could be a negative mental impact to it, because we often wrap ourselves in the identity of winning and losing. And so as a coach, we really try to emphasize winning's fun, but learning is more fun.
I think being in speech and debate gives students an outlet to be able to express themselves, to be able to talk about things that maybe they don't normally feel comfortable talking about, and this atmosphere gives them a safe space. I think that it positively helps reinforce a sense of community for them and give them an opportunity to, have and find people that they can call their own, their little village. I love watching students become better versions of themselves by hearing great messages, by meeting new people, and by watching and listening to the messages that are on performance in front of them all the time.
Ah, man, that's the crux of the conversation here, I guess. I think probably my thoughts are twofold. One, any competitive space will have inherent level of pressure, either from coaches that I might say aren't putting their priorities correctly when it comes to taking care of their kids. But also competition is inherently stressful. All competitive spaces are stressful, and especially with how type A and college-driven and academically inclined this population is, it can be a bit of a powder keg of an experience. So one probably pushes against the health and stability of some people, but also I think it provides a space to learn about how to be healthy with engaging with your mental health, and be healthy with your life practices, sleep, rest, conversation, building a community. So like everything, it's probably complicated.
I think something that the coaches all brought up that I find validity in is how they highlighted how speech and debate honestly will take you out of your comfort zone and allow you to grow and develop your skills as a public speaker. This definitely is true, especially for me. Before I joined speech and debate, I could not publicly speak. I could not talk to another human being, honestly. Frankly, all I could talk about was probably Fortnite. I'm not a good speaker to a lot of people, and honestly, speech and debate has really helped me with that, and I really see a lot of validity in that point in what they're saying. Oh, also, the next question is going to be about positive mental health outcomes for students.
I've had a lot of students who maybe they didn't get a lot of attention, for various reasons, socioeconomic reasons. Maybe they have other siblings that maybe take up more attention from them, and there just wasn't this outlet for them to kind of shine or, just find themselves, a space for themselves. And so we've had a lot of kids basically come to us, not know what they want, and then suddenly find that they can have these stories and tell these conversations and have these and find better paths out from maybe where they thought they were. We work in lower socioeconomic locations, and for them sometimes college isn't an option, or they think it's not an option, and we show them that, well, maybe it isn't, but there are also other things that you can do to kind of further your education.
Everyone at some point is at least a little uncomfortable with public speaking and all the nuanced formats that we engage with in our lives. So a lot of my students start off debates terrified, stressed out, anxious. A lot of my underclassmen students, they are anxious messes. But my hope is that with that slight pushing out of our comfort zones, these students eventually get more comfortable. And I'm taking a couple seniors here that I've known since they were freshmen, and I think a little bit of push with guidance allows students to become more comfortable with their mental health, with their anxious feelings, and being able to conquer them. Having a little bit of grits. I'm not going to say, go into all the most stressful situations and you'll be better off because of it, but a little bit of pushing and a little bit of sitting in that discomfort has produced some fantastic results with growing my students and getting them outside of their comfort zones.
So a lot of students that I get to work with are actually from Title I schools or from lower socioeconomic schools, and I've been doing that. I actually am born and raised on the border of El Paso and Mexico, Texas and Mexico. So just having this community, this place, this activity, to be able to discuss just who you are and what you want to be, and then also find other people that think like you do, that look like you, gives you the opportunity to feel like you're not the only one going through something. And it also gives you really positive outlooks to be able to have people that you can talk with, that you can share and confide in. And then also just watching students feel like they're empowered to be able to discuss the things that maybe they're suffering or they're going through performance, but also through talking to other competitors and coaches.
Also, the next question is going to be about how teachers may handle a situation where a student may appear to be handling stress or anxiety or anything of that form.
oftentimes when we see that, I try to be as encouraging as possible. Even the highest performers here, even at the national tournament, there's that pressure. And I try to remind everybody, yes, you're here for a national title, but the experience is going to be so much greater if you just remove that pressure, to trust the training that you've been given. It's not like you walked off the street and decided to do speech and debate, right? To get here, you have to follow the steps. You have to put in the time. And, when you tell them to trust themselves, hopefully it alleviates some of that.
My hope is that by the time I put a student in a stressful or very anxious state, or they have found themselves in that place, I have enough of a relationship with them to know what would be the most appropriate action. The first step for me, and kind of my default, is always just find a separate space so that they can process their emotions and feel whatever they're feeling. The second thing is to not delegitimize the feelings they're having, because the worst thing you can be telling a student is your emotions are inappropriate, unwelcome, and not correct. It's like, then why am I feeling them? So let them have their space, let them have their time to process. Nothing else matters. Throwing them back into the fire and back into their round just sounds like the absolute worst thing to do. So a little space. Hopefully they're comfortable enough with me holding a little space with them, and then whatever time it takes, we figure it out from there.
It happens a lot. A lot of our students get nervous competing. The most important thing that I tell a student, and I think is a really great message for anybody competing in this activity, is that, remember why you're doing this. Remember your why. We have the opportunity and a platform that is uninterrupted time to speak on a topic that we want. And when you have that option and that ability, then anything that you do can never be wrong, because you're advocating, you're speaking, you're performing, you're being your authentic self. And so there are nerves, because I think those are always worth it. Doing anything worth it always gives you nerves. But to settle that a little bit, it's always reinforcing that, who they are is enough, the messages that they're discussing are enough, and the things that they're doing are bigger than themselves.
I find a lot of these answers from a lot of these teachers to be honestly really satisfying, really good to know, because I personally have had experiences with teachers and people of those sorts being unable to properly handle someone maybe experiencing panic attack, anxiety issues, or anything of that sort. It's just really good to know that there are teachers out there that actually do have the proper resources, do properly know how to handle it, and do properly have the proper education on how to handle these stuff. Anyways, dramatic lighting. Next segment is going to be about advices that these judges and coaches have for other fellow judges and coaches on how to handle their students and mental health in general.
I don't think you are allowed to push a student until you've built a relationship with them. A phrase I use pretty consistently is, you earn the right to push high standards once you have built a relationship. Compassion first, standards second. So my advice would be, they have to know you as a human and trust you as a human before you can start pushing things that might nudge up against comfort and mental health.
The big thing that I would say is that remember that we were all there at one time. It's really easy for us to talk about things that are maybe we would find to be incorrect or give criticism. But I think if we focus it from a point of like, they got up there and they did it, and we reinforce positivity, we make students want to stay here regardless of whether or not they're doing it the right or wrong way. So my words of encouragement would be, or my words of wisdom to other coaches and judges, is to root everything you're doing in the fact that the students are here, they're present, and they've already done enough to be considered great and amazing. And everything else is really not that important compared to the bigger picture.
A student's life will honestly change depending on what a teacher's advice can give them. If they're having a bad day and a teacher tells them, you're not going to amount to anything, maybe that person will never amount to anything, purely based off of what their day was and how their teacher has influenced it. I think it's really good how a lot of these teachers just understand that and have pushed themselves and allowed themselves to be able to be a good voice of reason in their sphere of students and everything. And I really just hope that a lot of teachers can take notes and be able to understand what position a lot of these teachers are coming from, these coaches are coming from, and be able to borrow from their example. The next segment is honestly going to be about how students should handle their mental health and what teachers can do to help?
You got to have a community. A person existing on an island is a dreadful and stressful place. I tell the kids you have to find a community, and whatever activity you are doing, you got to be involved in something that gets you out there and amongst your peers. It doesn't have to be a club or a class or a program that I sponsor. You need to find people. I was just talking to a friend about blue zones, which are where people live the longest, and where people live the longest are places, one, where they're eating fish and it's completely irrelevant, but two, where they have a strong connection to a community, peers, family, friends. So that's necessary for all levels of health.
I would tell students to feel like you can say anything you want to your coaches, talk to people, get to know people in the community. I've made so many friends throughout my very long time in this activity. And, never feel afraid or feel like you're the only one going through something, and communicate. And when you find someone that you can trust them. And always make sure that you're being your authentic, true self.
I'm really glad I found all these teachers to interview, because a lot of these people are really great, and I would honestly look forward and look up to them if I had them as a teacher. These people are just really, honestly, really great. Really glad I met them. Thank you for letting me interview you. I think mental health in the spirit of speech and debate is the ultimate challenge of mental fortitude. You start off really only understanding basic concepts and debate and speak in competitions against other individuals who spent as much, if not more time than you, to know how to present their speeches better. You need to treasure every single second to push your position on debates or your ideas and speeches across, because if you miss a single one, there's no way of re-adding it. With nothing but your limited research, wit, passion, you slowly transform the stage into one of your own choosing. Mental health awareness in the sphere teaches us that no matter how daunting the odds may seem, within us resides the power to overcome these challenges and achieve something beautiful. And one day, we'll look back at where we started and be amazed by how far we've come.